Thank you. Well, welcome everyone to the Standards and Assessment Process Review Committee. My name is Mickey Ray Marinelli. I serve as the Chief Academic Officer at the Kentucky Department of Education. I'm just very grateful for your time and your interest in this work today, and appreciate you as a committee member in determining that we have followed the process around Kentucky academic standards for reading and writing. So that is the purpose and intent for the meeting today. Before we kick off the agenda, I do want to make just a few introductions for you as the committee members. And I have some members from our Office of Teaching and Learning team with me today. Sarah Medley, who you have heard from via email, is our policy advisor, and she is supporting us in terms of the process piece of the meeting today. So thank you, Sarah. I'm also joined by Crystal Rowland, who is the Director of the Division of Program Standards. And in a moment, Crystal will be walking you through the presentation related to the process that is reflected in the report that you received in advance of the meeting. I also have with us Thomas Klaus, who is a branch manager for the Academic Core Branch in the Division of Program Standards. And we have Ashley Hill, who is an Assistant Director in the Division of Early Literacy. And I'll turn it over now to Kevin to introduce the members of our Office of Assessment and Accountability.
Well, thanks for that, Mickey, and good morning, everyone. We appreciate the opportunity to be here today with you and join you. My name is Kevin O'Hare. I'm an Academic Program Manager in the Office of Assessment and Accountability. Excuse me, and joining me today is Jenny Larkins, who is our policy advisor in the Office of Assessment and Accountability. So again, thanks so much for the opportunity. And Mickey, I'll turn it back to Sarah, I believe, to call the meeting to order.
That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Kevin. Hi, it's so nice to meet all of you, and we very, very much, I want to reiterate, appreciate your time today. We don't anticipate the meeting taking the full 2 hours, as I had said before, and so we want to be respectful for your time. I am going to go ahead and go over a few announcements. First, this meeting must comply with the requirements of the Open Meetings Act. So accordingly, the members of the Standards and Assessment Process Review Committee, or as we call SAPRC, must ensure that your video remains on throughout the duration of the meeting. Also, we ask that you mute your microphone when you're not talking. However, all discussions must be broadcast to the public. Therefore, be sure to turn your microphone on when you do wish to speak. For any items that require a vote, a roll call will be necessary to record the vote, and each committee member, which at that time the member should state his or her name and then pause and say yes or no. So in just a moment, I'll do a roll call vote and you'll just say your name, and then in that case, you could just say present. And then we also ask that you go ahead and silence and turn off your electronic devices that might cause disruption to the sound feed. And then I also wanted to mention just about 30 minutes before the start of the meeting, you'll see in your email that I shared the recommendation form and the substitute reimbursement form. You don't need those forms at this time, and I will prompt you toward the end of the meeting when it's time to pull the recommendation form that we will complete prior to adjournment. And so at this time, we will have our roll call for all of those that are present. And if you're here, as I said, just state your name and that you're present. All right, I'm going to start with Danielle Burke. Okay. Jackie Burnside. Damon Fleming.
Yes, Damon Fleming, I'm present.
Thank you. Jack Jacobs. Justin Kaiser. I did see that we had a message in the chat that Danielle Burke is here. I will mark her as present while she's working on the audio issues with your mic. Danielle, if you need to exit the meeting and re-enter, we'll let you back in, and sometimes that can fix the issue. Chris Lamons.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. Mary Lee Lewis.
Yes, present.
Philip Prokes.
Phil Prokes is here, present.
Thank you. Tom, I'm going to try my best. Tom Radiovic. Okay, and then Jeannie Smith.
Jeannie Smith, I'm present.
And this is Tom Radivonic. I am present. I had trouble with my mic there.
Sure, Radivonic.
Radivonic, yes.
Okay, we'll see if I get that correct at the end. Okay, and then I want to try Danielle Burke again, if you're able to activate your mic. Okay. I will go ahead and move on for now.
Sarah,
Yes.
one quick moment. I can see that Ms. Burke is with us, and on our end, it looks like it is muted. Do you want to try again, Ms. Burke?
Yes. What about now?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you so much.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
Thank you, Danielle. I will mark you as present. So we have a total of 7 members present, which is enough to meet quorum and conduct business. So we can proceed to the approval of the agenda. For the approval of the agenda, what you see here, and I just admitted Miss Burnside, excuse me. Miss Burnside, are you here? Okay, I will go ahead and move on to the approval of the agenda. The agenda was shared with you over email, and you will see that the agenda is also here displayed for you on the screen. I will give you a moment to review before we take a voice vote. So for a voice vote, I just need one person to make a motion to approve the agenda and then a second. And then all in favor, you just state aye instead of doing the full roll call. So I'll give you a moment to do that before I request a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, and could I have your name, please?
Jeannie Smith.
Jeannie Smith, thank you.
I'll second that motion. This is Tom Radivonic.
Thank you, Mr. Radivonic. Okay. And Jackie Burnside, we do see that you are here and present on screen with us as well. Thank you for joining us. Okay, the committee has approved the agenda, so I will now pass it over to Mickey to review the statutes guiding the standards revision process and the role and the responsibilities of the committee.
And Sarah, just to be sure, I think we need to ask if folks are all in favor, correct, and do the voice vote?
Yes, I'm very sorry. Thank
No
you.
worries.
We do have our first and our second, and so all in favor, you can just turn off your mic and say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Okay, thank you. Mickey, we are ready for you. Thanks so much.
Thank you all. Well, again, it's such a pleasure to be meeting with you today and are so grateful for your time. We wanted just to briefly share the roles and responsibilities of this specific committee. You can see here the guiding work for our standards review is within the statute 158.6453. And so section 2, subpoint A, requires the KDE to implement a process for reviewing academic standards and the alignment of those corresponding assessments for revision or replacement every 6 years. So we are here today because we have gone through the process of review of our Kentucky Academic Standards for Reading and Writing. And so in terms of your specific roles and responsibilities, the same guiding statute says that after receiving the commissioner's report, which you should have received via email, the Standards and Assessment Process Review Committee shall either concur that stakeholders have had adequate opportunity to provide input on the standards and the corresponding alignment of state assessments, or find the input process deficient. So the determination of SAPRC, as we say, is focused on the procedural aspects of the review process undertaken prior to its consideration. And just to let you know, after today, if the process is found to be sufficient, then we will be moving on to taking our Kentucky Academic Standards for Reading and Writing to the Kentucky Board of Education. So that would be the next step along the way. On the next slide, you'll see sort of the guiding principles for our standards review. And I'm not going to read this to you word for word, but the advisory panels and the review committee keep these critical components, so these 6 attributes of effective content standards in their minds all along the way. And that is also guided by that same statute, so 158.6453. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to our Director of the Division of Program Standards. So Crystal Rowland will actually get into the heart of our discussion today around what happened in the standards review process and the public comment that was received. So Crystal, I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mickey. So the law required the KDE to implement a process for the review and revision of standards beginning in 2017 and repeating every 6 years. And the process for the review and revision is outlined here on the screen. Today, we're in that last row presenting the process and recommended changes to you. On the next screen, you'll see the activities for the review and revision of the reading and writing standards that are aligned with that process. It began in October of 2024 with an application for teachers to serve on the Standards and Assessment Review Committees and a 30-day public comment survey on the current KAS for Reading and Writing. In January, the committees met to review the public comment and recommend changes to standards. And then February through early March, those changes in the assessment blueprint were released for a 30-day public comment period. In March, the committees reconvened to review the public comment and make their final recommended changes that are reflected in the draft standards that we're bringing forward. The writer's vision statement is on page 6 of the draft standards document. The standards writers envision standards that support evidence-based practices and grade level learning. The vision recognizes that reading and responding to complex texts are integral components of every K-12 classroom and provide access to rigorous grade level content. Reading comprehension is both a process and a product for developing both oral language and reading abilities, and that vertical alignment of standards reflect cohesive, evidence-based practices that emphasize reflective and expressive language. The initial public comment yielded 308 responses from a variety of stakeholders. Respondents were asked to select Keep As Is or Revise. For each standard that respondents selected to revise, they were prompted to give their reasoning, suggestions, and/or comments. Overwhelmingly, respondents selected Keep As Is for standards. You'll see there that 95% at K-5 for standards, 97% of standards at middle school, and 95% of standards at high school were selected to keep as is, and a total of 12% of standards overall were revised. Some of the revisions of note are included here. Suggestions and comments from the survey included themes indicating a desire for better attunement to the science of reading and current research. Foundational skills revisions point to decodable text and encoding and decoding, spelling and reading. Standard 10, K-12 for reading literature and reading informational text emphasizes the importance of both knowledge and strategies for comprehension. The writer's vision statement was updated, and the document was updated to enhance usability. The interdisciplinary literacy practices graphic was updated, and in the current KAS for reading and writing, the interdisciplinary literacy practices are on each page. They're now shifted to the grade level overviews in the draft, which was able to streamline the document by about 24%. The recommended changes were released for a 30-day public comment period. Over 400 responses were received, and no new standards were flagged for review. The assessment blueprint was also released for a 30-day public comment period during that time. The committee reconvened to review the public comment and make final recommended changes to the standards and the assessment blueprint. In the draft document, each standard appears as the example seen here, with the strand, grade level, and standard number at the top. The guiding principle reflects the broader goal by graduation. The progression places the main standard in the middle, the matching standard for the preceding grade to the left, and the grade after to the right. And the dimensionality of the standard is included to support teacher clarity. So I'm going to hand it off to Kevin O'Hare to discuss the work and review of the assessment blueprint.
Thanks so much, Crystal. At this time, we're going to take a brief look at the recommendations and revisions made to the blueprints for reading and writing. So again, as has been noted, the assessment alignment is a requirement of KRS 158.6453. This part of the statute looks at the alignment of corresponding assessments to be revised or potentially replaced. As Crystal shared previously, the public feedback period for the reading and writing blueprint was held from February 10th through March the 12th. During this time, over 120 comments were received from stakeholders ranging from teachers or administrators, parents, guardians, business and community partners, as well as post-secondary education representatives. The survey asked that the target percentages should be lower or remain as is. Along with the targets, commenters also had the opportunity to weigh in on the general usefulness of the blueprint as well. And based on these comments, minor recommendations were made to the reading and writing blueprint. For the reading portion of the blueprint, respondents felt the document was easy to read and understand. However, some felt that the blueprint did not provide instructional guidance to teachers and was not as useful to non-educators. Approximately 75 to 85% of the commenters felt the percentages should remain the same. And there were 2 respondents at grades that felt that at grades 6 through 8 that the narrative text should be increased. However, again, most felt that things should remain the same. For the writing portion of the blueprint, specifically on-demand writing, around 90% recommended that on-demand writing remain the same, and that is for grade 5 to remain opinions-based, with grades 8 and 11 continuing as argumentative. For editing mechanics, approximately 25% of the commenters stated that the domains for conventions of standard English and knowledge of language should be adjusted at grades 5 and 8. Excuse me. Over 90% felt that no changes were necessary at grade 11. So those changes specific to grades 5 and 8. And it's also very important to note that neither the advisory panel or the review committee that these went before had any additional recommended changes. So changes to the reading and writing blueprints have been based on the comments received as noted. The first change is based on the comment that the blueprint did not provide instructional guidance to teachers. I don't think that was ever really the intent of the blueprint to initiate instructional guidance, but more to focus on how each domain is represented on the test, specifically the percentage of those specific content areas that should be represented on the state summative assessment. Those same domains are part of the curriculum that's taught in the classroom, but again, that's without really specific direction on how it should be taught. So with that being said, the proposed change is to remove the language information to teachers as they make instructional decisions and replace that with identifies the emphasis that should be placed on each content area or on each content area domain in the classroom. The second change as you'll note here on the slide, in the proposed change column, the second change being recommended is based on the public comments to the target percentages. There is a 5% shift either up or down at grades 5 for editing and mechanic. Excuse me, changing conventions of standard English, grades 5 and 8, I'm sorry, for editing and mechanics, changing conventions of standard English from 80% dropping down to 75%, and increasing knowledge of language and vocabulary acquisition and use, bumping that from 20% up to 25%. These changes are all noted here on again on the slide. And so I think that concludes my discussion on the blueprint. I'll now turn things back over to Sarah to talk about the meeting with interim joint. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Kevin. Part of what's required in 1586453 is that we bring the standards to the Interim Joint Committee on Education. And so the committee met on August 18th, 2025 to hear an overview very similar to that which we are giving to you of the review process and the stakeholder feedback then formed the revisions to the draft KAS for reading and writing. There were not many comments received from committee members, but they did share the importance of the alignment of rigorous state standards to the local curriculum and, of course, the Kentucky Summative Assessment. Members also complimented the Kentucky Department of Education on the successful efforts in implementing a very robust process that results in state standards that are both rigorous and streamlined. And then no recommended changes or feedback was received from the Interim Joint Committee members. I did share with you, embedded within the report, the recorded video from the meeting and the start for the KAS for reading and writing, as well as when the feedback began from the committee members. So at this point in time, before we move to taking the recommendation form and completing that, we are open to any questions or discussion that you have. Yes, Ms. Smith, I see your hand up.
Hi, thank you. I have a question about how the public comment period is advertised and how people can get that information. So I'm an 8th grade teacher, so I'm in that big, heavy testing year, and also like involved in this process to a degree. And we get a ton of emails, so I'm sure I missed that somewhere, but I'm just curious, how are we getting that word out? I think 30 days is adequate, but I would love to know a little bit more about how that is being advertised.
Crystal, would you want to take that one?
Absolutely. So we send out a press release, and so that does go out through Gov Delivery for email, but we also send it out through the commissioner's weekly message. We try to make sure it's included on the superintendent's webcast as well. We send it through listservs, and those typically teachers opt into those across the state because we want to make sure teachers have the opportunity to complete that as well. We send it out in the standards newsletter, other different advisory panels. However we can get that sent out, we try to send it out so folks know about it. And the survey itself is completed by a third party at American Institutes for Research. And so they let us know about midway through to make sure people are accessing and we're getting survey responses so that we have another opportunity to continue to push it out through different communication channels to make sure folks know that it's an option to complete.
And I also want to mention that the full listing of the ways in which we've advertised it can also be found on pages 3 and 4 and 5 of the Commissioner's report. I'm happy to take any other questions. Oh, Ms. Burnside, we aren't able to hear you, but I see that you're trying to speak.
Ms. Burnside, you may, unfortunately, there must be a problem with the audio, but do you have at the top the chat feature? You could put your question in the chat, and we could see it and respond that way if you're able. I'm so sorry. And to give her time and not to make her feel pressure to get that typed in, if anyone else has a question and is able to unmute, we're happy to take that as well. Is it not? It's not working? Okay. Well, I definitely want to make sure that your question gets answered. And so trying to support that process now, it may be that you need to email us and then we can make sure that we get back to you with that question. And Sarah, what I would love for us to do is follow up with the group is that her question is shared and our response is shared with the full committee, just so everyone is able to see our response to the question that she was uplifting or attempting to uplift. I'm so sorry, Ms. Burnside, for that difficulty.
Absolutely. And Ms. Burnside, if you would like to just respond to the email that I sent just a little bit earlier, I will make sure to get that processed with the group. And Ms. Smith, I wanted to make sure I saw your hand up that you didn't have another question.
Okay, I do have a question. I'm not exactly sure how to ask. It was about what was presented on that change where it was like information to teachers in the domains that were going to be covered. And I guess my question is in the alignment piece of this. So I know like those standards are reviewed publicly, but I have a question about the alignment to the assessment, because the assessment is not reviewed publicly. I mean, it's under lock and key. So I guess I'm curious about that piece. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Mickey, do you want me to try to take
yes,
this one?
Please. Thank you,
All right.
Kevin.
You're welcome. And Ms. Smith, great question. Great question. We do not, unfortunately, get to review the assessment in the same manner that we do the standards. We've had it recommended, but I'm not sure that we'll be able to do that at any point anytime soon. However, what we do focus on is that we do a content review with all of the assessment items that focuses on the alignment. So we bring in Kentucky teachers, we'll bring in stakeholders from across the Commonwealth, and their role early on in the development of these items is to make sure that there's alignment. We work closely also with Mickey in the Office of Teaching and Learning with our wonderful content experts who also help us to kind of oversee that process. And so it gives us the ability to make sure that anything that is questionable or needs to be revamped or completely thrown out even at some points, we are able to do that. So we're always trying to recruit new people. Fortunately, we don't get to write new items every year because it's a very costly path to that development process. And but when we do get to that point of developing those items and going through those content reviews, bias reviews, vetting all the different items, we always try to recruit teachers across the state. So if that's something you're interested in the future, we're definitely open to that. So shameless plug, maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I know making assessments is like the hardest thing that we do just about. So I appreciate that. Yeah, that's definitely helpful to know how that process works a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Any other questions?
Okay, Mickey, if you are okay, I will move on to the recommendation form. And I'm continuing also to keep a lookout for Ms. Burnside's question should it come over email, but if not, I'll make sure to share that with the group along with our response. At this point, you can open the PDF that was attached in the email I sent earlier. And this is the point in the meeting where you have an opportunity to state if you felt like the review process was followed and allowed for adequate opportunity to provide input from stakeholders, if you found it sufficient or if you found it deficient. Once those have been collected, then we can start to move to the adjournment of the meeting, and keeping in mind that the role of SAPRC is limited to the procedural aspects of the review process that's taken into consideration, with an emphasis on the opportunity for stakeholders to provide input. And so now I will just give you guys a few minutes to pull up that form. I put a little screenshot here of the form as well, so you know what you're looking for. And then at the bottom of that form is my email address, and I've also included it here on the slide as well. And I will watch for those to come through. And once those have been received, then we'll move for a motion for adjournment. I also want to note that should you need a reimbursement for your substitute, the KDE is happy to take care of that for you, and that form's also included, and you can send that back to me when you have an opportunity to complete that. I know a couple of our members were able to join us, but did have to get a substitute today.
And Sarah, for the peace of mind of the committee members, when you start getting those emails in, will you just verbally confirm receipt depending upon the committee member?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, Jeannie Smith, I did receive your form. And I'm sorry, is there a question?
Yes, I'm having trouble. I downloaded it, but it's not allowing me to
Okay,
edit
I
it.
can send you the Word document if that would be a little easier to use.
Sure.
Okay, I'll email that to you now. Mr. Lamont, I also just received your form as well. Okay, Ms. Lewis, I just sent that your way, and I received the form from Chris Lamont as well. Thank you. And Justin Kaiser, I received yours. Thank you.
I do want to acknowledge, as tedious as this wait might be, we do appreciate it. You know, that this completion of and submission of the form is a critical part of the process, and this committee serves a critical function. And so just grateful for your patience with this as we wait to get these in.
Mr. Radovanek, we received your form as well. Hopefully you got a little closer that time around. Thank you.
That was perfect. Nice work.
Thank you. And if for any reason someone would prefer to have the Word version, I am happy to send that to you as well. I did not offer that earlier. Mr. Fleming, I received your form. Thank you. Ms. Burke, I received your form. Thank you. Ms. Lewis, I received your form as well. Thank you.
And Sarah, I think we are waiting on two more, but I believe that Miss Burnside, I saw that she was getting some help, so we can follow up with her after the meeting today. And so I think as soon as you get that other one, we'll be able to move forward.
Okay, thank you. And I think what we can do, since we are just waiting on one more, we can go ahead and I can just wait for that to come through. Actually, I just saw, thank you so much, Mr. Brooks. I appreciate it. So at this time, we will go ahead and move to adjournment. And again, if you have substitute reimbursement forms, please send those my way. I'm happy to answer any questions for those. And just really want to thank everyone for your time and being here. I know you are incredibly busy, especially early September. So on behalf of KDE, it means very much to us that you take your time to meet with us. At this time, we can adjourn the meeting, and I just need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, so Mr. Fleming, I saw you. And then, I'm sorry, who's the second person? You could be the second.
It's Radovonic again. You're definitely learning it.
Thank you very much.
One of the two of us.
Perfect. And if there's no further discussion, I can proceed with a roll call vote to adjourn the meeting. And then as a reminder, you can just state your name and yes to adjourn the meeting. And thank you again. Okay, so we'll start with Danielle Burke.
Danielle Burke, yes.
Thank you. Ms. Burnside, I will go ahead and skip your name because I know you are having some issues with your audio. Mr. Fleming?
Damon Fleming, yes.
Thank you. Justin Kaiser?
Yes.
Thank you. Chris Lamons?
Is there, he may have.
Yeah, he may have stepped off of the meeting. That's okay. Thank you. Mary Lee Lewis?
Mary Lee Lewis, yes.
Thank you. Philip Prokes?
Philip Prokes, yes.
Thank you. Tom Radovonic?
Tom Radovanik, yes.
Thank you. And Jeannie Smith.
Yes.
Thank you. Wonderful. Well, at this time, the meeting is adjourned. And again, we appreciate you joining us today. Thank you.